Hello students, today we are going to learn a new topic from chapter number 8, that is common diseases in humans, in which we will learn three diseases: typhoid, pneumonia and the common cold. Before we discuss common diseases in humans, let me discuss first which type of organisms are responsible for causing diseases in human. First of all, you can see bacteria, which are prokaryotic group, may causing disease in the human. Second group of organism is viruses, which are broadly responsible for causing disease in humans. Then fungus, you can see fungus also responsible for causing disease in humans. Then protozoa, then helminths also responsible for causing disease in humans. So all such a kind of organism which can cause diseases in the human, such a organism, such a group of organism which is responsible for causing disease in human is called pathogens. Means all the parasites are therefore pathogens. Means all the parasite which is living on the organisms are called pathogens. As they cause harm to the host, they will live on the host and they will harm to the host, or living in or inside the organisms. And such a parasites are considered as a pathogen to the human. Now, the pathogens can enter in our body. Once it will enter, first of all, initiation of disease will start with the entry of the organism. By various means they can enter in the body, multiply within the organism, means the host, inside the host they will multiply and increase in numbers. Then they will interfere with the normal activity or vital activity of the body systems. And that's why it will ultimately result in the morphological and the functional changes in the host. And by this way, this type of pathogens can cause diseases in the humans. Once such a kind of pathogens, whether it is bacteria, whether it is fungus, whether it is worms, whatever may be, means all type of pathogens have to adapt to life within the host environment. Means inside the host environment they have to settle down. Okay, means they have to withstand with the internal environment of the host. For example, if they enter in the gut, if they enter into intestinal tract of the human, at that time, first of all they will enter in the stomach, and you know very well stomach is filled with the acids, and they have to survive along with that acids. Okay, they have to withstand with the low pH and resisting their self with the various digestive enzymes. So by this way they can survive. Actually, in normal sense, we can say that microbes cannot survive in stomach acids. But such organisms which are responsible for causing disease in humans can survive with such a harsh environment also, means acidic environment also they can survive. And by this way they can cause the disease in humans. After learning some basics of pathogen, let me start with the bacterial diseases first. Okay, in bacterial disease, we will start with the typhoid disease. And that typhoid disease is actually called a typhoid fever in human. This typhoid fever is responsible to cause fever in a human, that is called typhoid fever. And this typhoid bacteria, means this is a bacterial disease, and the bacteria which is responsible for causing typhoid is a Salmonella typhi. In this Salmonella typhi have a target organ in our body. When it enter in human body, it will target on small intestine of the human. So whenever you learn any disease in detail, at that time you should know what is the target organ of such a particular pathogen. So here, whenever you learn typhoid, you must know the small intestine is a target organ of this bacteria. Means Salmonella typhi will attack on a small intestine. So how this Salmonella typhi enter in our body, in human body? So by contaminated food and water. Means food and the water both are the main sources of contamination. Means mainly contamination or infection may occur by using contaminated food and water. Means if Salmonella typhi already present in food and water, and such a food and water if consumed by the people, by the person, then that person or a people may have getting chance of a typhoid fever. Contaminated with them and migrate to other organs. Means when it reach up to the small intestine, there may be chance to reach up to the another organs also. On infection of a Salmonella typhi, whenever it enter in our body and in human body and reach in the small intestine, they may develop some symptoms. And by observing such a symptom, person may come to know some disease may be occur. And these symptoms include high fever, that is 39 degree to 40 degrees Celsius, weakness, there may be feel weakness, stomach pain may be felt, then constipation, headache and loss of appetite. These all symptoms are responsible, means all symptoms are indication of Salmonella typhi infection, and that is typhoid fever. Sometime in severe cases, intestinal perforation may occur, and that may be lead to death also. This is very rare case and this is a severe case. Typhoid fever could be confirmed by Vidal test. So it is a blood test. Once typhoid fever is diagnosed, we can diagnose this test, means by using Vidal test. By using this test, a person may confirm with the typhoid fever. Then it may be, once it is confirmed, then treatment will be started by the doctor, and treatment is always with the antibiotic. As we have discussed, this slide shows you which type of common symptoms and signs are observed. So here you can see list of symptoms and signs. Person may get fever, head and muscle aches they may feel, stomach pain, confusion, exhaustion, means weakness and fatigue, constipation and diarrhea, loss of appetite, and sometimes rashes may be also observed in such kind of disease. This is included in contagious disease. That means it can be infectious disease. Means it can be spread from one person to another. So let me discuss how it can be spreaded. So here you can see food and water are the main sources of contamination and spreading of the disease. Second thing you can see, a food outlet that practice poor hygiene, means flies are moving all around the food, which is very open food in the market, and that is consumed by the people, and they may have chance to get the disease. Eating seafood from water source contaminated by infected feces and urine. This is also one type of spreading. Chance of spreading. Using a toilet contaminated with the bacteria, not washing your hands, this is also one chance of getting disease of a typhoid. Eating raw vegetables that have been fertilized with the human waste. So after getting this much information, let me discuss one classical case. तो एक क्लासिकल केस हम डिस्कस करते हैं. क्या हुआ था, मैरी मेलन करके एक लेडी थी जो एक प्रोफेशनली शी वॉज अ कुक. सो कुक क्या करते हैं, घर घर पे जाके कुकिंग करते हैं. तो ये जो लेडी थी उसको खुद को टाइफाइड का फीवर नहीं था, मीन्स उसके अंदर बैक्टीरिया थे टाइफाइड के, लेकिन खुद को कोई फीवर नहीं था. तो उसकी वजह से क्या होता था, जब भी वो कुकिंग करती थी और जो भी उसका कुकिंग किया हुआ खाना खाता था उसको टाइफाइड हो जाता था. तो मैरी मेलन को खुद को कोई डिजीज नहीं था, को उसके हिसाब से उसको कोई प्रॉब्लम हो, लेकिन उसका बनाया हुआ जो भी खाना खाता था उसको टाइफाइड हो जाता था. तो ऐसे कितने लोगों को इस तरह से टाइफाइड फैला था. तो मैरी मेलन का नाम फिर चेंज करके कर दिया था टाइफाइड मैरी. ओके, एंड टाइफाइड मैरी, शी वाज नोन एज अ टाइफाइड मैरी. ओके, एंड काफी सारे उसके लिए पेपर्स, न्यूज़पेपर में सब उसके केसेस आए थे, उसके ऊपर सब मीन्स उसका अरेस्ट भी हुआ था उसकी वजह से. Okay, and she was considered and she was studied as a classical carrier. So carrier क्या होता है? Carrier is the person which do not have any symptom of a disease, but they can spread disease. Okay, means one person से another person को जैसे spread होता है, उस तरह से ये जो लोग होते हैं, जो carrier होते हैं, उसको खुद को कोई disease नहीं होता, लेकिन वो स्प्रेड डिजीज को स्प्रेड कर सकते हैं. तो बाय दिस वे टाइफाइड मैरी. लेट अस स्टार्ट विद द अनदर बैक्टीरियल डिजीज एंड दैट इज न्यूमोनिया. The causative agent means the bacteria which is responsible for causing pneumonia is Streptococcus pneumoniae and Haemophilus influenza. The target organ for such a disease is the alveoli. Means lung is you know very well lung structure, and inside the lung there are alveoli, very tiny bubble like structure which is responsible for gases exchange. So here this bacteria when enter in our body, in human body, it will target on lungs and especially on the alveoli, which is the air filled sacs. As a result of the infection, the alveoli will get filled with the fluid and leading to severe problems in respiration. So as a result of that, person will feel breathing problems, breathing difficulties. Okay, and as a result of that, pneumonia will be established in that person. After getting pneumonia infection, person will develop some symptoms, and that person, the symptoms of such a pneumonial case will include fever, chill, cough, sometimes headaches. In severe cases, the leaves and fingernails may turn grey to bluish color, and that grey to bluish color is just due to unavailability of oxygen to the tissues. And the healthy person acquire the infection by inhaling droplets. You can see here this person is a sneeze in the diagram, and you can see up to a certain length of the means a certain area he will cover a droplets, and that particular droplets or aerosol released by the infected person, and that infected droplets if inhaled by any other person, that this infection will be spread in that person, so that person also get the infection. So this is highly contagious. In this slide you can see pneumonia related symptoms. So you can see on the slide that pneumonia will affect all parts of the body, mostly all parts of the body. A central nervous system will also get affected, and it will result into headaches, loss of appetite, mood swings. Cardiac system get affected, and due to that low blood pressure may be realized, then heart disease may be heart related, heart rates may be high, then gastric related symptoms may appear, that is nausea and vomiting. Joint pain may be felt, muscular pain and fatigue aches may be felt, lungs will fill with the cough and phlegms, then shortness of breath may be felt, then chest pain, skin may be turned bluish color or grayish color, systematic feeling is the high fever and chills. So these all are the symptoms, and by observing such a symptom, doctor may get the idea that person may suffer from the pneumonia. Here in this slide you can see how pneumonia can be spread. Here you can see one person is sneezing, and as a result of sneezing you can see some droplets will be spread, and that droplet is highly infected with the pneumonial bacteria, and that pneumonia bacteria, that is a Streptococcus pneumoniae or Haemophilus influenza, will spread to the another person, and by this way this lung will get infected with such once the symptoms is identified with the pneumonia, this pneumonia disease cannot be confirmed. That pneumonia can be confirmed only after diagnosis test. So this diagnosis test must be performed is the X-ray, the CT scan, then listening to the wheezing by using stethoscope, spirography, that is also one type of a test by using which you can confirm the pneumonia. Then general blood analysis, Utam test you can see, general urine analysis you can do, then cardiogram, then fibrobronchoscopy. Okay, these all are the testing by using which diagnosis is confirmed with the pneumonia. So before starting any treatment, diagnosis must be confirmed that pneumonia is a confirm that person is suffering from the pneumonia, and only after that confirmation treatment can be started. In this table you can see a list of bacterial diseases. So in our syllabus, in board syllabus, NCERT include only 2 diseases of bacteria, and that is pneumonia and typhoid. But that is not enough for the need. So here you can see the table in which you can see a tuberculosis, that is one disease that is caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis, that is a bacteria, and it will be transferred by using airborne droplets and inhalation, and then it will be detected by the Mantoux test. So my advice to you that just remember this name of the disease, pathogen and detection, and which organs are affected by such a diseases, means in this particular diseases. So this may be advice to you to learn this. Then second is a diphtheria. You can see Corynebacterium diphtheria is a causative agent. Then transfer may be direct contact with the airborne, and isolation and pathogen from the patient is the detection treatment. Then pertussis, causative agent is Bordetella pertussis. There is also airborne disease, and pathogen from the host may be PCR chain reaction, means polymerase chain reaction. By using this method you can detect the pathogen. स्टूडेंट्स लिस्ट काफ़ी बड़ा है, तो आपको ट्राई करना है जितना भी आपसे हो सके इतना याद रखने के लिए, because in future you are going to be a doctor, so at that time this will be very important, and for NEET also this is very important. So cholera is a causative agent is the Vibrio cholerae. It is waterborne disease, and dipstick based test of stool test is a detection test. Then pneumonia, as you know very well in detail. Then tetanus is a Clostridium eat any. No specific taste is there for detecting such organism. Then leprosy, Mycobacterium lepra. Okay, this Mycobacterium lepra is detected by isolation some symptoms. Okay, by observing some symptom based isolation. Then typhoid, Salmonella typhi, as you have learned in detail. Plague, that is Yersinia pestis, and that is vector-borne disease, and it is means detected by blood test. This is all are the list of disease that is commonly occur in the human. So let me start with the viral diseases, in which we will start with the common cold. So many viruses also cause a disease in human beings. As you know, virus is one type of a pathogen. Here, common cold is caused by rhinoviruses. So you must remember what is the causative agent of this common cold is a rhinovirus. Represent one of the group of viruses which cause one of the most infectious human element. Okay, means this is highly infected human ailment, that is a common cold, that is commonly occurring. That's why name is given common cold. They infect nose and respiratory passage. So here you must be remember, previously you have learned about pneumonia. Pneumonia can go up to, means it can be in fact up to the lungs. But this respiratory tract disease, the common cold, only responsible for causing disease in upper respiratory tract, that is up to nose and respiratory passage only, not lungs. So if it is infection is up to lungs, then it is considered as a pneumonia. And if up to nose and respiratory tract that infection is limited, then it is considered as a common cold. So common cold is characterized, means some symptoms will be developed, and that is nasal congestion and discharge, sore throat, hoarseness, cough, then headache and tiredness. These all are the symptoms, and usually last for the 3 to 7 days. If you are taking disease means medicines or not, this disease will be last for the 3 to 7 days, because there is no medicine for that. Droplets resulting from the cough and sneeze. As at a time of a sneezing, you know, droplets will be spreaded, and due to the droplet, if means inhaled by another person, then that person may get the diseases. And sometime it may be transferred by using some objects like pen, books, cups, doorknobs, then computer keyboards and mouse. These all are the objects by using which, if infection is on that particular objects, then if you touch that or means objects, you can also get the infection. In this slide, you can see some symptoms of common cold that is generally felt by the person. That is, food will be boring because tasteless, it become tasteless, sneezing and coughing, sore throat, headaches, then sometime mild fever may be develop, nasal congestion, then vomiting may also there. So these all are the symptoms of a common cold. So here in this slide you can see a list of viral diseases is given, in which you can see polio, that is caused by polio viruses, that is a picorna viruses, and detection is done with the testing of a CSF. Then influenza, that is avian or swine influenza. Orthomyxovirus is responsible for causing that influenza, that is airborne disease, and throat swab can be detected. Then measles, paramyxovirus is responsible for causing measles. Then symptoms-based detection and RNA detection, viral RNA detection can be done with the nasal discharge. Then chickenpox, a pox virus is responsible for causing chickenpox. Then PCR-based test may be done for detection of the diseases. Then mumps, a paramyxovirus, is also detected by PCR test, and so respiratory droplets are infected. Respiratory droplets are responsible for spreading such diseases. Dengue, which is caused by arbovirus, and PCR and blood test is a detection method. Then rabies, a rhabdovirus, and there is fluorescent antibody test is responsible for detecting this rabies virus. Then common cold is a rhinovirus, which we have done in detail. Chikungunya, a toga virus is responsible for causing chikungunya, and swine flu, that is H1N1 influenza virus, is responsible for causing swine flu. So this is the list of the viral diseases. In next lecture, we will learn malaria.